All right, so now we're live, right? So now we're going to start. Last week, the last time we did this, which was the Sunday before Thanksgiving, we started with the indices, right? But one of the things that I said, I think one of the most important things that I said back then was that I was seeing more stocks. I was jotting down more names on my list. More names were coming up, and at the time, they weren't working out. Just more setups were coming up every single day. My list was getting longer and longer and longer. We had that Thanksgiving week, which is normally a positive week. And the one list, the standout was that 1123 list. Let me just duplicate this here. Was this list right over here? That was on 1123. We had about 15 names. A lot of them worked out a lot better than I was anticipating, because just until recently, every single stock that kind of like broke out, it was just an intraday move, and that's pretty much it. Like all the gains were that one day after that little breakout, and then we have every little follow through. This list over here, um, it just did a lot better. Here, here's the tracking how much the stocks were up since that day. Piton, which the biggest one, up 37%. Um, I sold it, I believe, the next day, just because we didn't get that immediate follow through. But look what happened. It's up. It's the buy point. I bought it at 979. This is roughly 38% in a matter of four, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. That's a big move. That was a little surprising. And again, look, the stock is below the 200-day moving average, at a 52-week low. I believe it's heavily shorted. But again, in the short term, when your time frame is 0 to 5 days, you have to understand what matters the most. All right. It's awesome when you can say, "Oh yeah, my stocks are holding up well; they're near highs." Well, I don't even know what that means. I mean, I don't even know what that means as far as trading is concerned. You want to buy stocks that are moving, right? And stocks move from the lows, from middle, or from the high, right? So this one acted really well. So again, we do the rolling 5-day watch list is because the watch list tells you a lot more about the market than what the market is actually doing. Tells you a lot more. How are things moving? And when I start seeing setups and I start to see them work out, I am no longer paying attention to the indices, right? Because in the bear market, I'm always looking at the indices, because most things are correlated, and they move together. And often, playing the index off of bottoms is just a lot better than playing individual names, because it's just much easier. But now we're starting to see more setups. So the setups are going to be a little bit more important than the indices. Okay. So let's go on with the next one. TSLL. This is a Tesla bull ETF. I like these single stock ETFs, especially the inverse ones, for those people who have IRAs and can short. This one had a big, a decent move. I was long at 1054 right over here, I believe. Had a decent move. Shop, again, same setup as PTON. Down multiple days in a row, down 4 days in a row, up yesterday through the high today. This was the trigger through this high over here, and it had a big move, much bigger than I was anticipating, and that's something to keep an eye on. And Shop, Shop looks good. Shop has been basing here for about 7 months. It looks good. I would like to see this stock consolidate over here, and I'm going to want to buy this stock because of this space at some point. Team is another one. And again, down multiple days in a row, 4 days in a row through the high. It had a nice move that very same day. The next day it stalled, and then it kind of like stalled for 2 days. So this one was a little bit rough because the stocks were stalling the next day. The indices were looking shaky. And that's the reason why I took these off almost immediately. WEBL, but more importantly, what we want to look at is what was the setup the reason why we took these stocks, and most of them was because they were down multiple days in a row, and we're not anticipating that a stock is down 3 days in a row and we're going to buy it. No, we're waiting for that pattern to change, because when the stock is down multiple days in a row, what that means very simply, I mean, most of the times is a stock that's got a lower high and a lower low. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and then it finally breaks that by making a higher high, a higher low, and a higher high. This one again, docs. Again, they're just these things up this day, stall the next day, stall the following, and then it took off. Netflix was the big one. Netflix was the big one. Wix also, again, it made a nice move. It stalled, and then it just took off again. So these are things that we just got to start remembering these things, so we can start giving it a little bit more room. Plug really didn't work out. D-Dog, again, it was up that very same day, about 3 or 4 points, and then it stalled, and then it went up again. Amazon U, again, same thing. It went up maybe 50 cents. It stalled. Then it had a big move afterwards. ALB, this was a loser. FVRR, again, very little follow through. I think I sold some up 50 cents, and then it just wasn't there. FTCH against some follow through. I sold some, I think, up a quarter. It went up a little bit here, had a nice move here, up almost 15% from the buy point, and then I guess some news came out and it sold off. So that's that list. This is the list that acted the best. Let's go on to the other ones. DXCM. This was the 11/28 list. That was that Monday. I think it broke out right over here, but it gave it right back in, and then the market just got better. FAS. I'm not sure why I had this in the list, but maybe right over here. SDAO, same thing. It was probably right over here. 11/28 down 3 days in a row, a couple of days, and that's about it. DRV, same exact thing. Down 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row. Right over here, had a big move of roughly about $3.70. TZA, same thing, but there was no follow through on these inverse ETFs. So let me just go through these really quick. NRGD, reverse split. Netflix, again, it was another setup right over here. But this was on Tuesday. This was on Wednesday. The buy point was Wednesday above this high right over here. And yes, and then this one, we had the Fed meeting. Was it the Fed meeting on Wednesday, or was he speaking? One of those things, but whatever it is, this one broke out early in the morning, right? So that day, this day over here, I did not want to buy anything because he was Powell was going to speak at 1:30, but this one took off right at the open. It just took off, and it followed through. Like, it just took off. RYTM, similar. This one, SOXL, this one broke out, Todd, after the meeting. Okay, because it was 1:30. And I'm going to the system, I'm ready to put the orders in, and I got the SOXL there, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just wait. It's like 1:31, whatever it was, right after he finished speaking. I'm like, let me just wait, because every time he talks, it goes up, it goes down. So I waited, and then we just kept going. And this one, the buy point was 12.19, and went up 13%, 14% that day, right? So the list on this day, the two stocks, SOXL and SPXL, both broke out after the meeting. It's just, again, it's been tough with so many Fed speakers, with these people talking. It goes up, it goes down. So it was, it was tough. But those two, they definitely broke out after the meeting. This one, again, I hate this stock. This stock is probably gonna be on my do not trade list every single time. It kind of like breaks out and it reverses every single time. But this one gets me in late in the day. The market then gaps down 7 points. It goes down. I sell it, and then it just takes off. It just took off. I'm not sure what the news was, but there was something going on with solar, because ENPH was up as well. Then you had mRNA. This one took off immediately. I sold some. This stock's been trading sideways for 10 and a half months. So what I did was I sold, I think, about 80% of what I have. And then the other 20%, the remaining 20%, I put a trailing stop. I believe a $12 trailing stop that kind of like covers this 20-day moving average, right? And more importantly, what I did was that I just took it off my screen. Just took it off. I put a good till cancel order. I took it off my screen. I don't want to see it. And I'm gonna see if it trends higher, for a little bit longer. And let's see if I can get maybe, I don't know, maybe a 30 to 40 point move. So I'm gonna give it some room. I gave it 12 points. I took it off my screen so that way I'm not looking at it. So that way I don't see it up 10 points and say, okay, I'm gonna sell it now. Let's see what happens. So when you have these bases and you feel like the market is turning around off of a bottom, you want to be able to give these bases a little bit of a room, some room. You don't have to hold it with your entire position, but at least hold on to a piece, and hopefully that piece will be worthwhile. So that's that, right? KSS didn't trigger, CF didn't trigger, ARQQ. And this is just a good looking setup, big base. There's just no volume. There really isn't. There's just no volume. Here on Friday, the only stock that triggered was AT&M. I got involved, 11:30. We'll see what happens. All right, so let's go to the top 400, right? So again, same thing. We're gonna go over the same things over and over and over again. Let's just take a look at the market real quick here. S&P. This is a 30-minute time frame. It's looking good, right? It's looking good. What we need is setups, more setups and more setups. Let the market do whatever it is going to do as of now. If it's still in somewhat of an uptrend, short-term uptrend, this XBI looks good. It's been basing for a while. But what's important right now is more and more setups. We can look at this S&P 500 here, right? And the two where we went above the 200-day moving average, we closed above the 200-day moving average. Here, I believe, where is it? You can draw whatever it is, a downtrend line. You still, if you look at it, you still have a pattern of lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower lows, and lower lows, right? That is still the pattern. Here in the short term, you got one low. Here's your second low, and maybe this is a third low right over here. And this thing can go sideways. It can break down, just like it did over here in September. We don't know that. But I think the difference is that we're seeing more setups. And that's what's important to me. We're seeing more setups. There are a lot of people that are looking at this downtrend line. They're like, oh, yeah, this is a short. And then in order for them to justify to themselves, they're tweeting, 10,000 negative things about the economy, and that might be correct, but the point is that you got to be open-minded. And I think that individual stocks, what's going on underneath the surface, is more important than this over here. So for now, let's just continue to focus on the individual names. If they continue to pop up, they continue to work. We just have to ignore the indices. All right, so the top 400. Again, before I was taking the top 100 names on best performing stocks on a 3-month basis, 6-month basis, year to date, and a 1-year basis. Now I'm taking the top 250 names, right? So I did that this morning. It gave me 631 names. That's way too much. So I'm gonna just again click it with a scan. The scan is the 20-day moving at price above 250, average volume over 150,000 shares. And the stock has got to be trading within 3%. I have here of its 20-day moving average, 3%. So basically, what we're looking for something that's got momentum and has been consolidating. So something like this. Okay, this was a good setup right over here when we took it, but it sold off. This is exactly what I believe it's a setup, is a stock that's pretty much dead, oftentimes trading near the lows. Then suddenly news comes out and it goes up huge and tremendous volume. And then it goes sideways for 10 to 15 days. At the end of the consolidation, what you tend to see is price contraction and volume contraction. And we saw that here. But some news came out. I believe they were in some type of conference. I don't know, but whatever. It went down, but it set up again. Here's that inside day on the lowest volume in the last 10 days, right? So this is what I consider an A+ setup. Doesn't mean it's going to work out. It just means that in some of these big year-to-day winners is exactly the same pattern you see. Stock near the lows, dead, barely trades. Huge news, consolidates, and then you get the second leg higher. This is a fresh stock. This is a young stock, momentum stock that is probably just getting started, right? So let's go to the list to see if we can find some names specifically and only for tomorrow. If something looks good, but it's not ready for tomorrow, we'll flag it and we'll continue to watch it throughout the week. If you guys are scanning a different way or you go about things a different way, just let me know. Put it on the chat. Let's talk about it. And these biotech stocks, I saw the stock right over here. Double inside day, right? And I skipped it. And I'm saying to myself, this stock is perfect. And obviously, it was in somebody's, probably somebody's room. And they bought this breakout and they sold it immediately. But, you know, this looks okay. I think it just needs a little bit more time, but it looks 46.14, 44.91. Let me flag this one. Maybe for Tuesday or something. Let's see what else we got here. This looks okay too, but these energy names look just so choppy. Wing. Again, this looks only 16 million shares. All right, so this looks okay, right? 165.72. So the buy stop is $2.80 away. Some news came out here. Stock trades 4.3 million shares. The average 20-day volume back then was 847,000 shares. Let's see, when was it? 10/26. It's been trading sideways. Again, it looks okay. You look at the previous times of that where it has, big moves, it goes up, it kind of like fades away. Stock is already up from 70 to 100 and almost 170. Is this the type of stock that more than likely is going to break out from here and offer a big move in the next 5 days? Probably not, but let's just wait a little bit longer on that. RETA. This thing's been trading sideways for roughly 11 months. Bigger the base, the higher into space it goes. Some news came out over here, as you can see, got these big bars. And again, this stock's been trading in a tremendous downtrend. There must have been some type of announcement here. They've been selling. This stock got to a level where either the sellers don't have much supply or the buyers are now accumulating the stock, a new set of buyers. If you look at the stock right over here, we're going to have to see that if they have anything pending pretty soon. But I like this stock going through 39.28 RETA for Monday, 39.28. This is very similar to mRNA, trading sideways for a while. Let's just make it this low right over here, 36.90. And since it is a base for the last, whatever it is, 11 months, if it triggers for me and I buy it tomorrow, I'm going to treat it the same way. I'm going to try to sell most of it on the way up on that little first initial move. And then I'm going to try to leave a piece and see if I can hold it for the not long term, but hold it a little bit longer with a wide stop. When you're thinking about a wide stop, if you study these bases, you'll notice that once they break out, they kind of like hold that 21-day moving average. So you can use the 21-day as your stop. Sometimes what I do is I'll just go here and I'll look at the ATR. This is the average true range ATR is $2.49. Maybe you double that. Maybe you give it $5. Okay. And then you can always adjust accordingly. So we have RETA. And this, I mean, this it looks okay. This was one of the biggest winners this year at the beginning of the year. Yeah, it was. And it kind of like just died out. BPT. This was a huge winner. It was like the top one in the first few months. Skip this one. AMR, right? This one again looks good. This reminds me of LNG. Just looks good. Just doesn't go. Just doesn't go. This one, AMR, BTU, also big base. This is also one to watch as it consolidates here. This has been basing for a while, but AMR, similar situation to BTU, has been trading sideways for a while. 168, 170, 115. So AMR for Monday, 170, 115 is the trigger. 165 is the initial sell stop. Here's another one. Again, this thing, it just doesn't go. Next. I'm not even going to look at these oil names because I'm still long that NRGD, which is the short. So normally during the day, right, my busiest time is the open, right? Most of my orders are going in at the open. That is my busiest time. But then very near the end of the day, then I'm going to go through this list of top 400. Just so, I'm jotting down names for the following day. So that way in the morning, when I get up in the morning, all I'm looking at for the most part is the inside day list and the down 3 days in a row scan. So I do this, go through this list every day, right around 2:30, 3 o'clock. And CF looks similar to AMR, BTU. It was on the list right over here. It did not trigger. And it looks good. I mean, it's one of these things where you can see it. If it goes, it should go. It just doesn't go. But it's a good setup. I like the setup because it tells you clearly. It tells you clearly that if it breaks this level right over here, then this setup is done. I like those type of setups that gives you a clear out. That's the reason why, for me, my stop is not a set 2%, 4%, 7%. For me, my stop is at a level where it validates a chart pattern. And I believe that if this stock over here breaks this level over here, it invalidates this pattern. So let's put this one on the list, 106.04, initial stop. Let's call it 102.40. Let's give it some room. Let's see something. That's another coal stock. It's a limited partner. Some people might have an issue buying limited partners. I guess if you have an IRA, they might not allow you to buy it. DDS. And another oil stock that's been going sideways for a long time. It just can't go, just like NR reminds me of CRK, the CRK. Now, what's that other stock? Other oil stock has been trading sideways for a while. Bought it a few times. But look, NR, let me just copy this to basis. There's another oil stock in the 40s that's been trading sideways for a while. Starts with a C. The list, top 400 name, the list continues to be dominated by oil names. It just continues to be dominated by oil names. And they're still holding up well. That's for sure. But we need a little bit more than just holding up well. We need setups. And let's see something. If you look at 50, the IBD 50, let's see what they have on their names. ENPH, Solar, CPRX, CCRNT, oil, oil, oil. So you can see here, yeah, most of the names here, oil, 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 oil. Most of the names are oil stocks. That's what the IBD 50 has in their list. Let's look at MTUM, which is fine. They've been holding up well, but those things, they kind of like tend to oil names are normally, you're better off buying those things in the dip than buying the typical breakouts. Let's see industry here. What do they have? This is the MTUM. It's a momentum fund, and I think this one particular fund, the list is only the top momentum names in the S&P 500. So if you have liquidity issues where you need to buy stocks with a lot of volume, or that's what you'd like to do, this is probably not a bad list to go into, where you just go on to MTUM, look at their holdings, and look for setups within there. See, that's not bad. This is not a bad list if you're looking for high price stocks. So if I do a condition, let's do the hugging, choose condition, hugging the 20-day. I dropped the list down from 170 names to 73 names. Let's go through that, see what we can see here. See a lot of stocks going sideways. Big names. This might be a good list to look at them on the weekly chart to see if you can find something to hold for a little bit longer. But Amgen, what's good? Nice little inside day. So some of these big biotech names have been holding up well. You can see it because you can see the difference between XBI, kind of, right, and IBB. That this one looks a little bit more, looks a little bit better. And that's because this one holds some of the big names, some of the higher price names. Where were we? Any questions? Any ideas? Any suggestions? UNH, Amgen, Peacock. How are you guys doing? What are you seeing? Did you notice a change this past week? Sometimes you got to read the fact sheet of some of these ETFs, because this is a momentum fund. These stocks are down. Some of these stocks RIVN is on the list, which is interesting. Sometimes you have to read like what time frame exactly are they looking at to rank these stocks. This TC 2000, keep those pretty up to date. Interesting. That's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. If you're looking, yes, yeah, as far as what's in the fund, that's a very good question. Um, yeah, it's easy to find, right? So with the IBD 50, that's easy to find out, right? Because you can go online and you can get this IBD 50 ETF. Um, right. So if you're right, that's good for looking at. This is the reason why we got to do these meetings because as we're doing it, things just you just start thinking about things that just come out, things that normally would not no, normally I would not think of. But yeah, if you're looking for high price names, it's probably a good idea to look at the MTUM. I wouldn't say 50 because 50, again, things change. The market changes, and we're going to go at one point, we're going to go into a phase where these cookie cutter momentum setups are going to work. And they're going to work a lot better than they normally do. Where a nice little flag, and that's what they put in IBD 50. The problem is with what I believe with the IBD 50, if you look at the IBD 50, I mean, the market had, I think, a 13% rebound. This had a 10% rebound. And then from here, it's down while the market is still going up, right? And I think part of it is that, you know, you're you're putting names in the list that had a big move. It already had a big move. And just because the stock is trading near a 52-week high or it's been holding up well, that doesn't mean that it's a good setup. It means that it had a move. It just is telling you what it did, right? And I think that part of the reason here, I think they're heavy into oil names, and they don't move as well. Um, and they kind of like once they start doing well, they normally stall. But let's just look here at the IBD 50. Let's see where are the holdings. Okay, so they have Harmony, Super Systems. Let me just go on to their actual site. Where's the IBD here? IBD Innovative site. And let's take a look at year to date down 42% as of 10/31. Okay. Where do they have the holdings? Oh, here, top 10 holdings. Okay. Let's see. Um, CELH as of 12/5. So there you go, Todd. It's not updated. CELH is not on the list. This is as of 12/5. Oh, no, hold on. Let me just take this on. I'm sorry. Let me just take this off first. Let me just take off the scan. They have 50 names. Let's just see it now. CELH, not on the list. CPRX on the list. CCRN on the list. Harmony on the list. NFE on the list. MEDP on the list. MUSA on the list. SMCI on the list. CRK on the list. ENPH on the list. GMAP on the list. TPL is on the list. COP, COP on the list. Wing is not on the list. Right, so that's interesting. I think most of the names are on the list, but that's a good question to ask TC2000. How often do they update the holdings of these ETFs, right? But this is the workaround is that you actually go to their site and you can look at all their holdings, right? That's the workaround. All right, but that's a very good question. All right, so here we go. Let's close this out. Close this out. Let's go to flag. So we had 270 names on the inside day list for Monday. What I normally do is I first look at the ones that at some point over the last 40 days had one of these big volume days and it was up 4%. I look at them like that. You can look at the ones, you can go do it like that. You can look at the higher price ones. If you do the higher price ones first, you do it by price and you'll see stuff like probably like Wing TD. Let's see, Wing, this one TDY. When did it do it? Probably here, maybe almost. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You see the higher price ones first. If you want that, like Amgen, doesn't look bad at all. Suave, HUB. Again, see these two stocks, they don't look bad at all. 286.12, 286.22 will be this the buy point, and the stop you got to give it here. This is the 21-day moving average. You have to give it right over here, in my opinion, roughly 279. Hub, again, the reason why sometimes I'll skip something like this because this stock already had a big move, and where a stock has come from is important to me. And this is a big price, high price stock, 13 billion market cap of 13 billion. Amgen is 153 billion. Like, I mean, so after this big move, it's extremely hard to continue to move this stock like this after such a short-term consolidation. That's the reason why sometimes I just get those things. But I'm going to put them here on the side, Amgen and HUBB. I skipped mRNA because I already own mRNA. XP. So these are just different ways where you can skin the cat. If you're looking for something in particular and you want the high price names, this is a way to do it. Just reverse everything around. Go into the momentum ETF, go into the IBD holdings. When you look at the inside day, instead of starting with the ones that had that big move that most big year-to-day winners have, start with the higher price names first. Okay, that's a way to do it. So, like for example, right here, I went back to look at the stocks that were that had that big volume day, but also start with the high price one. The first one is IT. I had it right over here. Let's see if we can find some names here for tomorrow. Dix again, but it's just a choppy stock. Just not interested in choppy stocks. Right. Again, this one might be in the list tomorrow also. Just a nice consolidation. CPNG. And it doesn't look bad. Trading sideways for a while. This is the Korean something owned by like I think some big hedge funds had a decent holding in this stock, maybe Druckenmiller. Yeah, it looks okay. When I go through this list, I want something to stand out. If I think about it for too long, I'm just going to skip it. Especially if if we're not seeing the market, the individual names have done a little bit better, but it's not robust. So if it's not robust, those little marginal setups, I'm just going to leave them off. If we had a better market where individual names were working, then that name goes on the list. That Amgen goes on the list immediately. Hub goes on the list immediately. But we don't have that yet. So subconsciously, I'll just skip these things. I want something that stands out. Auto parts, right? Again, a little choppy, but I want something that stands out where there's no thinking. BNTX, very similar to mRNA, basing for a while. Copy to basis. Okay. I go through the base list as well pretty much every day because I want to be able to put some money involved and risk some money and at least on 10 different bases to see if we can find bigger moves. We can get a big move. And VCR again, this is also on my base list right over here. And VCR. So something like this, right? Once you find the setup, like similar to mRNA, again, you want to buy it. And then what you're looking for is a significant move. Give me a second here. Like American Airlines breaks out, kind of like retest it. Had a retest right here and right over here. Long 1228, 1627, inside day through the high, long 16 through the previous day high, sideways for 8.7 months. And then as you can see here, once it takes off, it takes off. The 21-day moving average becomes support. AMPY, 10 months of sideways action. This looks very similar to RETA, mRNA, BNTX, same exact thing. Sideways. Something went wrong with the stock, 52-week low. Sellers are in control. They kind of like right over here, they find equilibrium with the buyers where they're running out of supply or the buyers are stepping up. Here, without a doubt, the buyers are stepping up. Higher low, higher low, higher low. At the very end, you see the consolidation, that tightness, and then it takes off. Here's a 21-day moving average acting as support. What's important when you're looking through these stocks and you're studying these stocks is take a look at the drawdowns, 28%. So this looks good, right? But holding a stock that's down 28% or has a drawdown 28%, even though you're up, that's not easy. That's the reason why with the mRNA, listen, I gave it a wide stop and I took it off the screen. I don't want to see it. I put a good till cancel order. I'll look at it every other day, whatever the case may be, but I took it off the screen to see, because if I see the stock go from here, from 2 right over here, this is almost a 50% move. I just want to take it off. And I probably would if I'm watching it. But then look what happens. Normal consolidation. These consolidations, this might be a 15% drawback right here, drawdown. Right. And it still looks good. So BTU, again, this is one that we're watching. It's now trading at $28 a share. But look at this space here, 1.2 years of sideways action. Where is it coming from? A 52-week low. At the very end, buyer starts to step in and it just takes off. CEIX, very similar situation. Here's a consolidation at the very end. Downtrend, 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 and look what happens, sideways. And then you got to move higher. CRM, similar situation. So this is what we're looking for when we look at those bases. That's the reason why with the bases, you want to be able to capture that short-term move, but try to leave some to see if you get a much bigger move. So NVCR, right? Okay. And the way one of the ways you're going to find these bases is, I mean, the way I find it, it's just find them. It's just going through stocks. That's it. And if you look at my charts, for the most part, the only lines that you're going to see are these horizontal lines when I see a base. And I bet you if this one has a line, that means that it's already is it on my, let's see, copy to bases. Is it there already? It's probably here already. If it's got those lines, it's on my base watch list. Twinkies. Again, not bad. Not bad. 26, 25. 25, 40 initial stop. Through that high. Frog, this is already on my base list. Again, it's nowhere at a level where it's ready. But again, you just keep it there. And again, these are the stocks, those bases are the ones that we want to really focus on because we have been in the bear market for a long time. And those stocks that have been basing for a while, those are the ones that are going to make a big move, in my opinion. So you don't have to go through these 270 names, right? Right. The last time we had a meeting, there are different ways that you can narrow down that list even further, right? If you believe in moving averages, you can say to yourself, I only want stocks that are trading above the 50-day moving average. That's going to narrow down your list a lot. Or I only want stocks above the 200-day. That's going to narrow down your list a lot. I only want to see the stocks that fit the 4x3 criteria, where it was up big on 3 times the average daily volume in the last 21 days, 40 days. That's going to narrow down your list a lot. So you can do all that if you don't have time or you don't want to do it. I'll just go through the names. Usually the only time where I'm not going to go through the entire 500 inside day list is if I already have a lot of names on the list. If I had 10 names on the list, I would have stopped this a while ago, right? If I got nothing going on, I'm going through the list. Again, I just go, if I can see patterns, if I can see the bases. But there are different ways to narrow down this list where you can narrow it down to 50 names, narrow it down to, whatever, 40 names. But sometimes it gives you ideas. The other day we had, what was it? We had one of the mining stocks, the gold mining stocks. And the reason why is I'm going to the inside day. All I saw was mining stocks. AEM. It was right over here on this day, I think. AEM, SSRM. Right over here somewhere. What was the other one? GFI. So sometimes you get ideas. You see a pattern, a theme playing out. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up here. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. Put it on the chat and just speak. I'll give it a minute. But so far, we went through a lot of names. I jotted down RETA, AMR, CF, TWNK, and then some other ones, AMGN. Again, typical, this looks okay, but it's a big move for a $153 billion market cap. HUBB, again, it looks okay, but I want something a little bit more fresh. PCBX. Right. VTRS. Again, not bad, right? Not bad. So what do we have? What are we looking at here? We're looking at a stock that had that big, traded 29 million shares that day, VTRS. There was a reason why. Here, it's moving up and down here. You get the consolidation, starts to consolidate. What do we get here? An inside day and the lowest volume day, right? So this one, the buy stop would be 10 cents above the 11.23. The sell stop, the initial sell stop, you can't give it here this low. That's way too close. You're going to get stopped out with these small stocks. Well, this one's not even that small. 520 million shares in a float, market cap of 13.6 billion. You're going to have to give it to right over here at 1096. Call it 1090. And if you can, give it to the 21-day moving average. It's right there, which is 1089 actually. So this is not a bad setup, right? Whether it works or not, that's a completely different story. But that's a type of setup where if it comes up 1,000 times, you want to get involved with it 1,000 times. And that's the importance of what it is that we do. We got to judge everything through a series of trades. And we have to understand that sometimes the market makes a tremendous difference in setups, right? Sometimes this one setup in a good market will give you, could give you a 10 to 15% move. In a bad market, it might just give you an intraday move, right? It's the reason why we have to think, not just stock by stock. My previous loss, for the most part, has nothing to do with my future, whatever gain or loss, right? We take a series of trades, a rolling 5-day watch list. It's a series of stocks that we're watching. Those stocks, all of them together, they're giving you clues of what's going on. All right, not one stock at a time. So yeah, this is a good setup. All right, so there's nothing left. I will wrap it up. Thank you for taking time out and being with me here. And I'll see you guys in the room tomorrow.